Well, these are going to be hard. Book 32 and 33 of this series are really hard to read. And I don't mean they're hard to read. What I mean is the characters go through a tremendous lot. They go through physical, emotional, total mental stuff, physical stuff, emotional stuff. It's a really character driven. The events are different from, well, they're different from previous books, I think. They're more personal in nature. Two of them are more personal in nature, the two of them. So we'll start with the first one, and then we'll do another video later of the second one before we move on to the rest of the series. Before I get started, please hit the like and subscribe. Let me know I'm doing a good job. I just read books and talk books. There's no special effects going on here. I have no theme music, no drop-ins. I may try one day. I've got to do the Anne Perry Monk series, and the books are over 40 years old, so trying to get one physical copy is going to be hard. I like to show physical copies in my books. I'm also a Yankee Candle fan. So these are really hard books. Oh, and before I get started, please hit the like and subscribe. Let me know I'm doing a good job. I read series books. We're reading the Argonaut, Lindsay Sands Argonaut. We're reading Carolyn Sparks' The Aztec series. We are reading Jana de Leon's Fortune series. I'm reading Laurel K. Hamilton's Anita Blake series. There's a couple other. Roland, I'm still trying. I'm not sure I'm going to continue with that one. Victoria Thompson. We've got Donna Andrews down the pike. We've got a whole bunch of books coming down the pike. But this is my favorite series. I've read each one of these books, 20 or 30 times. And the audiobooks are great. It's one of the few series where I own all of the audiobooks. And I love Susan Erickson. She's just the greatest. So anyway, this is book 32, J.D. Robb or Nora Roberts, Treachery in Death. Eve Dallas is a lieutenant in the New York City Police and Security Department. That's how, how's that? For a second. That's how she sees herself. Totally 100% sees herself. And the next book, this is going to become more prevalent. But this one right now, she's a lieutenant in the New York Police Security Department. Her partner is Detective Peabody. Her husband is Roarke, one of the richest guys in the world in this series. Whitney is her boss. Mira is the shrink for the police department. McNabb is Peabody's significant other, and he's also a detective in the electronics division department of the New York City Police and Security Department. Feeney is her old boss, which will come into play significantly in the next book. And he's also currently captain of the EDD department. Morris is the coroner, dickhead and queen of hair and fibers. I forget what her name is. They're important people. Summerset is the butler, or sort of Rourke's father figure type. He takes care of the house. He also takes care of Rourke sometimes. Eve and him have a touch and go relationship. It's funny. She also worries about the candy thief. I don't think we touch on him too much in this book. But this is one of the hardest books. We have Mavis Freestone, who is now a movie singer. Her daughter Bella has arrived, and her partner is Leonardo. And then there's Trina, the hairdresser, and Nadine. We've gotten far enough now that she is She has This Is Now TV show, What's Happening Now in Crime, and she's also the author of the Alcove Case. So that's coming too. We'll have some really cute, light moments with that several books down the road. And Eve's angst over the whole thing. Because, Eve grew up in the foster child system, so she doesn't have those social skills that kids learned early on. She's not used to getting presents. She's not used to social environment. She'd rather be in a gunfight or taking down two cammy heads in an alley than going to a party or even a barbecue or anything. So she's learning all these things, and we will discuss this more heavily in the next book. If Eve could get away with it, she would live on popcorn and pizza. So we have some other characters, but they really don't come into play in this one. Charles, Louise, there are regulars. There's a few more regulars, but we'll get to that. So in this book, Eve is letting Peabody take the lead. She's just become a detective recently, and she's letting Peabody take the lead as the primary investigator in the case. And they get this case of robbery homicide. There's these bunkhead kids who were stoned out of their gourd, robbed a little mom and pop grocery store, and they ended up killing one of the individuals. So she allows Peabody to be the primary in this particular case. Now, this goes bad 6 ways to Sunday. Once the case is closed, okay, which page was it? Page 40. Once the case is closed, well, we'll back up a little bit. At the end of the case, Eve, they have a little scuffle with the guys. Nothing major, just a little scuffle. And Eve says, "You're heavy on your feet." Hey, no comments while I'm primary. Not your weight, Peabody, except you keep too much of it on your feet, and you hesitate. Good reflexes, but your moves are slow. You need to polish your hand to hand. Since my ear's still ringing, I can't argue. I'll work on it. But you took him down, so yeah, that's good work. Eve swung around at the high-pitched scream of her vehicle alarm. She watched the hopeful booster land on his ass in the street as the warning charge engaged. His lock popper rolled into the gutter. It works. Good to know. Smokey. I wish I had my camera for this. Anyways, so they wrap up the case. They get the guys in the confessional. They lock them up. They throw away the key, the whole 9 yards. So then Peabody decides that she's going to go exercise after Eve gave her the warning. She walked to the gym that served her sector of Central, but with one foot in the door spotted half a dozen buff cops, jumping, running, sparring. She thought of her workout gear, the baggy shorts, the ugly sports bra she'd bought because it had been cheap. She thought of the size of her ass and backed out again. She just couldn't go in there, especially not with cops she knew, and stripped down that way, pant and sweat with all those toned, ripped, light-footed bodies, and look fat and stupid. Which is why she reminded herself she never used the sparkly, shiny gym at Central or joined a fitness club. Which is why her ass was too big, she decided, and why, following the laws of gravity, she carried too much weight in her feet. She ordered herself to suck it up, start to swipe her card, and go in. Then she remembered the old, far from sparkly or shiny gym 2 levels down. Nobody used it, she thought as she hurried off, or hardly anybody, because the equipment was old, the locker stingy, and the shower barely offered a trickle. But it would suit her and her new deal just fine. She found the security pad, deactivated, and strolled into the empty room. The lights flickered on as she went, dimmed, flickered again, and then held. There were rumors about rehabbing the area, but she sort of hoped they'd leave it be. It might be ratty, but it would serve as her personal gym, at least until she got ripped, light on her feet, and whittled her ass down. Now, Peabody's been on a diet forever since the series started. And she's in really good shape. And McNabb tells her every day she's really in good shape. But she's still body self-conscious. She's always complaining about her weight, always. So, and Eve and Roarke have a little husband-wife tiff. It's cute. They do make up. I didn't write that page down. But there's a dead... All right, Peabody situated in the shower is harrowing. It's potentially very scary and very life-threatening. She is shaken to her core. Peabody is just shaken. And you will fear for Peabody when you read this. So it turns out that there is a dead junkie, and he becomes the key to unplugging the clog. And when the clog is unplugged, there will be a waterfall of complications. So we've got, they've got Peabody shows up at Eve's place with McNabb and tells her the story of what happened. So they have to, Eve manipulates the situation and sets up a string of events that will promote her into investigating the dead junkie. And then after they've followed the rules and laid the case out, she contacts Whitney. And then they start investigating the case, and then they decide they need to involve IAB in Webster. And Eve has had workings with Webster previously, and he usually gives her a hard time, and he does give her a hard time in this case. However, there's a character that we have met in several books previously, Darcia Angelo. She is the chief of police on Rourke's Olympus. She works technically for Rourke, and she comes to New York to see Rourke and to tour New York. She's never been there before. And her and Webster fall head over heels in love with each other. Love at first sight. So we're still waiting for updates on their relationship, but you'll have to read the book for that one. Then we also get another recurring character, Detective Strong, and she is from the narcotics division, I guess they call it, but she makes several visits to Eve's section. And I love the little, let me see what this is. I think it's the little give and take. Oh, yes, it is the give. I love the little give and takes between her and Summerset. Sometimes it's just a spar on, sometimes it's a little on the lengthy side, but because of this case and because of the security measures or delicacy of the case, they've been handling at Eve's house. So, and her people love it when it's held at her house because they get good food. They get real food, not the imitation food that they get at Cop Central. And we as fans have proclaimed that why can't Roarke install some of his equipment in Central, and Eve doesn't want the cops to be spoiled, so she doesn't allow it. But I think it would be okay if he installed his good coffee. So they would have to pay more if they wanted the good coffee. They could have a choice of the regular coffee or the icky coffee, or the better coffee. But they would be able to make the choice themselves, and they would be able to get the better food choices and the healthier food choices if Roarke put his machines in there. But Eve is so against it, so he abides by her wishes. But I'm hoping as this series progresses that maybe we'll get some relenting there. I forget what you other diehard Eve fans will know. there's that sign that hangs in there. Um, our day in her uh, department. Our day starts when yours ends because of regardless of race, creed, or money value or any of that kind of stuff. They will solve your case. I forget what someone else will know that. I forget it. But there's a couple of cute things. So, like I said, this is one from Eve and Somerset. So Eve arrives home. Eve calculated she had time for a quick shower and change herself. She'd feel better and would be able to turn all the data, statements, and observations over in her mind while she scraped off the grunge from a dead man's flop. She began to turn them over even as she walked into the house, into the cool, into the beady stares of Somerset and Galahad. We all love Galahad, and I know it's an unpopular opinion, but I do believe that Galahad could use a companion, a lady companion, maybe have some little itty bitties walking around. Maybe they can adopt a whole bunch, get some more cats in the house. Some people say yes, some people say no. But, I mean, all right, yeah, dogs are sociable, but cats can be a little sociable, and it would help to have someone to play with. Maybe he'd lose a pound or two, although my friend over here plays with her sister all day, and she hasn't lost anything. Have I missed a national holiday? There must be celebrations in the streets for you to be home at this hour of the day. I'm calling it Somerset Goes Mute Day. The city's gone mad with joy. She angled for the steps, stopped. I've got a team coming in for a briefing. So I've been informed. You'll be serving pork barbecue, a cold pasta salad, fresh tomatoes with mozzarella, and green beans almondine. Oh, don't you wish someone could cook for you? Followed by a peach pie a la mode and a selection of petit fours. We'll never get rid of them. How is Detective Peabody? He asked as she started up the steps. She stopped, shoulders tense. Why? I am neither blind nor insensitive, Lieutenant. She was very obviously shaken when she and Detective McNabb arrived last night. She's steady, she's fine, and I also figure you know what goes on in this house, so you know we all went out, 2 separate vehicles, and came back late. You know Peabody and McNabb stayed here, and you know Whitney was here early this morning. The circuits are closed on this, closed tight. She might have been on the steps above him, but Somerset managed to meet her eye and transmit the impression he looked down his nose. I don't discuss your personal or professional business. She ordered herself to throttle back. She knew he didn't gossip. He'd hardly be the man Rourke trusted with, well, everything, if he wasn't a blabbermouth. I know that. This is an extremely sensitive, unlayered investigation. Involving Detective Peabody? You could say, and that's all I can say. Would you tell me if she's in trouble? I'm very fond of her. She knew that too, and this time she didn't have to tell herself to throttle back. No, she's not in trouble. She's a good cop. That's why she's involved. Crap, now she felt obliged. Listen, I'm sorry I couldn't spend time with your friends last night. His eyebrows lifted ever so slightly. Perhaps it is a national holiday. Anyway, leaving it at that, she continued upstairs. Go on, Somerset told the cat. I'd expect she'd like the company whether she knows it or not. Galahad padded as briskly as his bulk would allow after Eve. And we do get some catching up with Mavis and Bella, and it's a little on the cute side. We'll do just a smidge. Applause! Applause! Mavis gurgled, and the baby slapped her hands together again. Now take your bow. On cue, and how the hell did a tiny brain know? Bella pushed feet in shiny pink sandals that were a mini version of her mother's, and rose up to stand on Mavis's lap. She lowered her chin to her chest. Kisses to the crowd! Mavis switched her hand hold to Bella's waist so the baby could smack her palm against her lips and then wave. Eve had to admit it was a pretty good routine. You brought the baby to a cop shop? Mother and daughter both turned, big happy smile spread. She wanted to visit. So, we've got a little bit of a dirty cop. Um, Peabody's discovered the dirty cop, and it's up to her, McNabb, Dallas, Rourke, Whitney, Mira, Detective Strong, and a few others, and Feeney to get the case solved, um, find out the whodunit, and be able to prove all the particulars in the whodunit. And there's some trying moments at the end where Eve's life is a little bit in jeopardy, and it's a serious situation. It's bad cops, a whole group of bad cops, and Eve and Peabody, they fight the fight to find out how they solved the case of the junkie's murder and how many other murders are committed because the junkie gets murdered, and how they try to attempt to kill Eve in the process and destroy her career in the process. You gotta read the book because it's so layered and so multi-layered. You can read it in one sitting if you do good. There's just so much to digest here, but it's a really good book. But the next book, this is 32. The next book, 33, is a humdinger, and we will be getting to that. So please check it out. J.D. Robb, Treachery and Death, the case that Peabody stumbles on and that almost takes her life. She's like this far from losing her life. And then Eve, they attack Eve. They come after Eve. The bad cops are there. They've got it all documented. Rourke helps tremendously in this book. He does a lot of his good work. And Eve documents the case and dots her I's and crosses her T's and gets the job done. Treachery and Death, J.D. Robb, book 32. Thank you. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.